Okay, what is Serp crossover and what's the importance of it from an SEO perspective and keyword targeting perspective? Well, first of all, Serp crossover is where you've got seemingly different keywords or keywords that are related, but they could be treated as different. But in Google's eyes, and in looking at the top 10 results, you can actually see that even though they're different keywords, Google treats them the same, meaning that if you target one, you'll probably rank for that keyword, but you're probably also going to to target for something that's related to it. And I'll take you through some examples. I've got two different examples of this, and you'll see it regularly. The importance of it is obviously, that your title is something that's you can only get so many characters in there. You can normally only target 2 to 3 keywords in there, and it's obviously a really important ranking factor. So you want to, I suppose, maximize or optimize that for the right kinds of keywords, because they're sort of like your headline keywords. But then in addition to that, you want to make sure your on page mentions and the way you set out your page gives you the most or the best possible chance to rank for as many keywords as possible. And the reason you want to get as many related keywords as possible, not just random keywords, they've got to be related, which is where this checking for SERP crossover becomes really important. The reason you want to be optimizing your page for as many keywords as possible is because obviously it just cuts down the amount of work you need to do. So rather than link building 2 or 3 pages, if you've got related keywords that Google is treating the same, then you can put them all on the same page, and when you build links to that page, you're obviously going to rank for all of those keywords. So that's the importance of it. So let's have a look at some examples. We've got here exercise bike reviews, and obviously that's a broad term, as is best exercise bike. And the thing about this is it's broad, so it's all encompassing, and there's I suppose I know this niche pretty well, and there's sort of 4 different types of bikes. There's recumbent exercise bikes, there's spin bikes, upright bikes, and indoor cycles. They're sort of the main categories in terms of search volume, and then some various iterations of those keyword wordings. But there's 4 different types of bikes. So exercise bike reviews as a broader keyword, you would normally think, okay, if I'm going to do an article on exercise bike reviews, I really need to cover all of those keywords in order to provide the sort of article that Google's looking for. Where in actual fact, you can actually rank for exercise bike reviews just by doing an article on one specific type. So to give you an example of this, we've got this article here is obviously this one in position 7 is targeting exercise bike reviews, but obviously it's also targeting best recumbent bike. This one down here is actually targeting it's only targeting the recumbent bike style of. You can see it's a sub page, so you can actually see it's targeting the recumbent style of bike, and that's what the article is all about. But it's ranking for the broader exercise bike term, and you actually see if you look through the SERPs. Position 2 has a mention of the recumbent style. Position 6 is the same. That's also an example of an article that's targeting the recumbent style of bike specifically, but it's ranking for the main keyword. So there's that one. There's one here, and there's one here. So that actually shows that 4 of the top 10 results are actually targeting the recumbent style of bike, but they're ranking for the headline, the broader term. If you come over to best exercise bike, what you want to be then looking for is, okay, what are the other related keywords to this? Is there other signs of crossover? So you can see here, this one that was ranking on the other page as well, I think. It's got recumbent in there. So this one, here you go. This one's talking about like stationary bikes, which is sort of another one. This one's got a mention of spin bike, you can see in there. That one's straight out exercise bike reviews. That one's got recumbent in it. That's recumbent in it. And this one's talking about stationary bikes. So you can see, again, like there's a few examples here on this particular page. Some of the pages that are ranking for best exercise bike, some of these pages aren't targeting all of them. Again, they're only targeting certain types. So this one obviously is stationary bike. There was another one that was targeting stationary bike as well. There was a mention of spin bike in there. There was a mention of recumbent bike in a couple of them as well. So what that basically says is you can rank for best exercise bike or exercise bike reviews through just doing a broad article on one particular style of bike. And if you looked at the keyword research on this, there's actually quite a few thousand searches for recumbent exercise bike review and the related terms specifically about the recumbent bikes. So if you're thinking from an efficiency perspective, your best way of actually doing this article is targeting recumbent keywords, also exercise bike reviews and best exercise bike into one article, and you'll find that you'll rank for the whole lot in doing it. So this is probably a really good example of that. They've got best recumbent exercise bike reviews, exercise bike reviews, and then it's not an exact mention, but they've got best exercise bike as well. So they've done a really good job of optimizing their title and covering as many keywords as they possibly can. And that's why the article is ranking here, and that's why you'll see it no matter what keywords you look for related to exercise bike reviews. You'll find that article is ranking for a lot of them because it's so well optimized. They've done a really good job of looking at the SERP, looking for crossover, and saying, okay, I'm going to do an article on recumbent exercise bikes. I'm going to pick up all the search traffic for that, but I'm also going to then be able to rank for exercise bike reviews and best exercise bikes. So that's one example. And another example, totally different niche. If you look at ultrasound technician training, this one's really is quite interesting. So this one, like, I don't know too much about this niche, but what I do know from the limited amount I've looked at it, most of these titles here have the word ultrasound in it, but what's interesting is this one here actually doesn't even mention ultrasound in it at all. It talks about sonogram. So obviously, I don't know the industry that well, but obviously sonogram technician and ultrasound technician is a similar thing. So what you would do if you saw something like that, which was a bit weird, where the main keyword isn't even mentioned in the title, you then take a look and say, okay, what are some other related keywords? I don't think there's huge search volume for this, but just to illustrate the point, the reverse of that is looking specifically for sonogram technician training, and you'll see not even any mention on any of these of the keyword until position 6. And in fact, that's the only position that it's actually ranking has the word sonogram in the title. So what that says is, if you wanted to look at doing an article on becoming a sonogram technician or an ultrasound technician and all the various keywords that are related to that, you can probably go about just doing an article focusing on the ultrasound technician side, but you'll probably pick up search traffic and rankings for sonogram technician, because even though they're different, Google treats them the same, and that's probably because they're probably just exactly the same thing. It's just different terminology used. So that's another a good example of checking for SERP crossover and saying, okay, well, I've got X amount of search volume for sonogram technician type keywords. I've got X amount of search volume for ultrasound technician type keywords. What am I best to target? And if I target one, can I rank for the other? And clearly in this example, you just go about building your article on ultrasound technician, and you'll pick up all the sonogram technician keywords rankings as well. So yeah, hopefully that helps. Obviously, it's really important to allow you to target as many keywords as possible, and hopefully I've added some value, I suppose, to your keyword research in putting this together.